Hi guys. Okay, so if you're tuning in before, I am now fully restarting. I'm Megan. If you're wondering why I am introducing myself, it's because I am live on Just FM Facebook and I'm also live on my personal Facebook. So yes, I'm Megan. I'm from the Wellness Umbrella. I am usually up in the radio room at 10 a.m. But my kid is home. He's a bit constipated. So I am coming at you live from my living room because that's life of a mom. Um, so I wanted to talk about this whole thing called Moms Need a Break. I made this amazing segment where I actually kind of turned it into an article, and it's going to be something that I'm probably going to break up into sections. But because I've worked really hard on it, and I really want to execute it in a really good way, I decided to wait until I was back up in the studio to do it. And I am taking the time to kind of just step back and talk about me in the most unegotistical way ever. But I've had people have questions about my life and how I got from here to here and everything in between and how I cope with it all. And I've always wanted to talk about it and whatnot, but I just kind of kept on just coming up with ideas that I wanted to talk about or talk about a little bit and then jump right into the segment of the day. So I'm taking full advantage of not really having any place to be and just kind of stepping back and sharing to you about my life, answering any of your questions. So if you have questions, drop them in the comment box and I will answer them because today's the day. So yes, my name is Megan. My show on Just FM is called The Wellness Umbrella. So I talk about everything that has to do with wellness because it's a big, gigantic wellness is so much. So I talk about it all. So I'm usually on at 10 a.m. up at the radio room, but yeah, I'm here. So to start from the very beginning, so you kind of get an idea of how I got to right now, I am adopted. I'm adopted into a white family. I was born in the States, New Jersey. My birth mom and I still have an amazing connection. She actually was here for 2 weeks after I had Zays. She brought her son, Merrick, who is my half brother. He has a different dad, but genetics is crazy and we look awfully alike. My parents were doing some missionary work down in the States. They weren't able to have children, so they decided to give kids homes, a loving, supportive, wonderful family. My birth mom, Erica, is maybe only 2 or 3 years younger than my adoptive mom. So a lot of people wonder, like, whoa, why didn't she just keep you if she's that old or whatever? And it was nothing to do with that she couldn't keep me. Like, she had me at 15 and all that. She just wanted me to have the best life possible. And I was able to have that with my mom and dad here. They worked and continue to work on giving me the best life ever. And now that they are grandparents, they are just loving watching a little mini form of me. And it's amazing. So yeah, I grew up in a very religious home. Grew up in a Christian home. We did the whole church thing, Sunday school, church group, all of that and in between. And a lot of my spirituality now is rooted from that. But instead of praying to someone, I just put out intentions. Everything's still spiritual. I just don't direct something to someone. I just put it out into the world. I kind of started falling off the regular church Christian religion-ish bandwagon when I was maybe about 10. Things were kind of going into my mind of everything was so, and I don't want to sound racist or anything like that, but everything was so white dominated. It was like, Jesus is white, God is white, blah, 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 white. And being a colored person in a very white dominant community, the questions of, well, if Jesus is white and God is white, where did the Black people come from? And no one had an answer. Like, nobody had an answer. And I was just like, well, if you don't have an answer, it's because you don't know. So stop acting like you know everything. And all those things kind of coming up in line. And then, I remember being told that God has a prayer cup. And I don't want this to sound offensive to anybody. Please don't take this. This is just telling you how I came to be this person that I am. So I was in this study, this Bible study thing, and they told me that God has this prayer cup. And once the prayer cup gets full, it tips over like a full cup, and then prayers get answered. So I prayed and 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 I prayed, but none of my prayers were getting answered. So that just like those things just didn't connect. And it was just like, they would ask, I've been praying, how big is God's prayer cup? Because dang, I've been praying a lot. Nothing's being answered. And all they would say is just pray some more. So things just never added up. So I just kind of stopped. I have no questions weren't being answered. Things weren't adding up. I went to Catholic school. My parents were, I was very musical when I was homeschooled. I was homeschooled up until grade 5. I was very musical and in the arts. And so my parents really wanted me to keep that. And it's funny how, I started out in the arts and then I went, nope, I don't want to do the arts. And then now I'm right back in the arts department with my life. Funny, right? Spirituality arts. Anyways, so I went to St. Patrick's Elementary School for grade 5, and then grade 5 and 6, and then I went over to St. Francis, and then from there I went to and graduated from CCH in 2010. And all of those different schoolings had so many different impacts on my life. Elementary was a whirlwind because everybody started together, and then I started in grade 5. And a lot of people had very interesting questions because they didn't quite understand why a white family would adopt a Black person, or why, and then the idea of adoption was negative. So it was a lot of your mom didn't love you, your parents didn't love you, that sort of thing. It was just, in elementary, kids just didn't quite understand that it wasn't a negative thing. And then they found out that one of the white kids in my class was adopted, but adopted into a white family. So that even confused them a little bit more. Moving into junior high, my new experience was science biology class. I had a really hard time because people didn't understand that I am still a person, even though I'm adopted. I have, so I got taken out of a lot of the biology parts, things that have to do with genetics and whatnot, because my teachers just didn't clue in that I could easily ask my birth mom these questions and do the assignment. So I got different assignments. I got treated a lot differently. I also learned a lot differently than the other kids. I wasn't stupid, just things that teachers would say, came into my mind differently. And it all stems from being so creative. It just comes from being an artistic mind, which now I know. And it really hit in grade 7 religion class. We had to write a paper on what is normal. And that's when everything went pew, because I wrote this paper about what is normal. And it was this amazing, wonderful paper, which actually I found out I could write. But to the principal and the guidance counselor and to my teachers, it was really just a paper saying that there was something wrong with me. And so I got tested a lot about my abilities to learn. And I got put in special classes. I got pulled out of classes and blah, 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 blah. It was back and forth and back and forth. And really, it was so frustrating. But everything I know now is just because I think from a very artistic out of the box. And I've always had. But teachers back then, and maybe it's different now, but teachers back then, they weren't taught to teach kids who are very artistic ways. They get taught to teach in one direction, and steering out of that direction, it meant that student, there was something wrong with that student. It wasn't, maybe there's something wrong with the way I am teaching this class and I need to maybe change it a little bit. It wasn't that. It was okay, if you don't understand this way, it means that there's something wrong with you. And so now you need to go over there. So throughout my junior high, it was really, really hard because I got pushed off to the side on a lot of things. And I got told that I was stupid and I was dumb and I would never graduate and I would never make sense of things. But it was like, no, I make sense of things. I just make sense of things differently than you and bigger than what your idea of what is right and what is normal. So that was my junior high experience. High school, it was high school. I kind of just gave up caring, and I just let people think that I was dumb. So I took dumb classes. I acted dumb, and I just gave in to what this teachers wanted, because I was fed up from fighting to tell people that I'm not dumb. It's just how I think. It's my artistic creative side. So after I graduated, I kind of stuck around in Lethbridge a little bit. I went to pretend college. I turned my entire student loan into vodka shots. Yeah. And then I took off to Fernie. And I say that my life started in Fernie. The reason I say that is because Fernie blessed me with everybody that I needed back when I was in school. I was just surrounded by so much artistic people who thought like me, people who would see things like me. And I was just blown away at this welcoming experience of being around people who are like me. And so I was able to, I joined classes, I studied things, I went this direction, I went that direction, I joined the circus, and I was just literally just surrounded by an entire town that went, oh, you like to paint? Well, we have painting meditation class. Oh, you're interested in this? Well, we have this and this and this and that. It was like all these things that weren't in Lethbridge. And I just blossomed. I really just blossomed. And from there, I just really, really became myself and who I am. And through that, I had my first messy awakening. And I'm sure there was an easier route, but I went on this route where I literally did a lot of drugs and a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, and a lot of meditating and a lot of chakra work. And I literally just went here and then I went here and I came up this other side. It was literally like, oh, that's what it was like. And I was like, oh my goodness. But so I'm sure there's a different route to go. You don't have to go the route that I did, but that was my route and I did it. And it was messy and amazing. And when I came out the other side, it all just kind of clicked. And that's where I realized that, yes, my mind is different and blah, 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 blah. And I let go of all of my hate and resentment that I had towards all of the teachers, all of the counselors that told me I wasn't ever going to graduate, never become anything. And I let go of all the hate that I had towards other students who treated me differently, because they didn't see what I saw. And going through that awakening opened my eyes and being like, it's nothing of you, it's of them. It's just of them. And you are an amazing, wonderful, beautiful human, and you are where you are need to be right now. And so I took that and I bottled it up inside, and I decided that I was going to do something to help people understand this, that people's attitude about you has nothing to do about you. Unless you're like a dick, then yeah, okay, seriously, don't be a dick. But people's attitude and thoughts and feelings about you is a reflection of how they feel about themselves and how they were brought up. It has nothing to do with who you are. And so I really, really wanted to help other people understand this. And I came to this point where I was in this fork in the road where I wanted to get more out of my dancing experience, and being still a citizen of the States. I have my dualship. I found this amazing school down in California and I wanted to go there. And so I was like, okay, I could go there. But then because I met so many amazing people, I also got the travel bug, but I've never been overseas, but I caught the travel bug from traveling around with the circus and being around people who literally traveled everywhere. And so then I was like, okay, I found this group who are like, we're going to Thailand. Why don't you come with us? So I was like, okay, so I could go to the States or go to Thailand. But then also part of me was like, maybe I should just go home and just think. I don't know if you've ever lived in Fernie, but Fernie is like a fishbowl. It's called the fishbowl. You kind of just do the same thing every season and all the time. And it's amazing, but at times you have to leave. You got to leave. And that's what happened. And that's what people do in Fernie, that they leave for a while and then they come back and they leave and come back. And so I was like, well, maybe I should just kind of go home and figure out, like I said, I was at this point in my life where I was like, I want to take what I just learned and help people, but I'm also wanting to go explore. And then at that time, I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, whoa, clearly this was not what I wanted. No. I wanted to do something, but not this. This is not what I wanted. So I actually went through all of the feelings. I actually left the doctor's office laughing. I was like, no. I just came home from Shambhala. There's no way that there's a baby inside of me because that baby is definitely not going to be okay. He's beautiful, wonderful, and glorious. It is totally okay. Well, maybe he has some things, but whatever. I don't care. He's wonderful. And so I kind of was like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. This is too much. This is too much. I don't want to. I didn't sign up for this. I wanted to either go to the States, I wanted to go to Thailand, and I wanted to just go home for a little bit. I did not want to be a parent. So I did think about having abortion, and I'm not ashamed of it. So to all those women out there who have thought of that and feel bad about admitting that, don't feel bad. It's those feelings. It's the true feelings of life. When you're not expecting something, you just want to throw it away. If you don't want something, you just want to throw it away. It's in us, okay? And I actually did. I called an abortion clinic, and she was like, so you want to make that appointment? And I was like, I'll call you back. Well, my kid is 2.5 years old. I clearly never called them back. So after that, door shut, because when you go to have an abortion, you have a certain timeline, and once you cross that timeline, you can no longer do it. So clearly I crossed that timeline because I never called it back. I had like a week. So then I was like, okay. In my head, I was like, my mom, my beautiful, amazing mother, Erica, who birthed me, she carried me for 9 months, pushed me out, and then 3 days later, put me in the arms of 2 complete strangers and said, best of luck, Megan. I love you. And so I was like, if she can do that, I can do that. So I was like, I'll go through with this pregnancy. And then I remember I was at work. This is when I was working at Giver Shirtworks in Fernie. And I looked down to like grab a piece of paper that I dropped, and I all of a sudden was just like saw my belly go, and I freaked. And at that moment, I knew that this baby was mine. There was absolutely no way on this planet that I was going to care and love for this tiny little unknown human, push it out, and then give it to somebody and just hope for the best. There was absolutely no way I could do that. So at that very moment that I knew that this baby was mine, I literally went, okay, this has to be a sign from the universe that this child was meant to be here. It just was meant to be here. So tuning back into all of the chakra meditation and all of those things that I was able to study and be a part of while I was in Fernie, I did so much soul searching. And then I again had an awakening, not a messy one because I couldn't do drugs and I couldn't drink. So it's just like a instead of a wonk. And then something just came inside of me about 3 weeks later that this child was what I have been asking for. So to back up, I wanted to go down to the States. I wanted to go to Thailand. I wanted to go home. I needed something more. There was something inside of me that said, I need something more than what I have right now. And what is that? And I guess this is what it is. And through my whole pregnancy in Fernie, I was kind of throwing away signs. I learned that in my 9 months of pregnancy that I was throwing away signs from the universe that was saying, this is for you. And I went, I don't want that. And it's like, this is for you. And I went, I don't want that. And, I just kept doing that. And then all of a sudden the universe was like, no, boom, this is for you. You got to keep this. So now here I am. I'm back home in Lethbridge. I have a 2.5-year-old son, and 100% believe that this child was meant for me. My life has changed huge, not just because now I'm a mom and I have somebody else that I think about, so I can't just like go running off into the woods and hope for the best that I return back to my home after May long, which did happen. I eventually returned home, but I have no recollection of what happened between Friday and Monday. I can't do that anymore, but I've had all these amazing experiences to get me to where I am now. So I moved back home. I had my kid. The things that have happened since I've had my kid that may or may not have happened while I was off traveling Thailand or in the States or still just hanging out with Fernie. I met my partner, Adam. I met him 3 months after having Zays. It was Canada Day. I still remember him eyeing me down. And I was dressed in, of course, a costume because it's Canada Day, gotta celebrate. And this little tiny baby that was dressed in a red and white costume. And here was a gorgeous human just staring at me. And I remember thinking in my head, who stares at a mom with a baby? So I had this thing planted in my head that I was never actually going to be good enough for somebody else. And I don't know if any other mom has felt like that, a single mom or anything like that. But that was my thing in my head. It was like, I now am a mom with a kid and I will never, ever be good enough for anybody else. And I accepted that. I was like, that's okay. It's just going to be me and my kid. I had no idea at this point where my kid's dad was. I accepted that I was going to be a single mom and I was like, and I'm just going to rock it. Just going to rock it. And I also didn't really want to get into a relationship because I knew that Lethbridge wasn't a long time thing. And I didn't want somebody get into a relationship with somebody, fall in love with them, blah, 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 blah. And then be like, by the way, I can't live here because before I moved to Fernie, I was in an almost 6-year relationship and we broke up. I needed to get out and I just didn't want to do that to that person again. So here's this gorgeous guy eyeing me down. And I was like, he can't be looking at me. It's got to be somebody else behind me because I is a baby and I'm still chubby. Like, go away. And I was like, all right, I'll just keep walking by. And I walked by him and then all of a sudden I hear him go, hello. And then we kind of chatted a little bit. Turns out that he knows half of all of my friends in Fernie. He's known them longer than me, but we just kind of left it at that. And I was like, okay, cool. If the stars have it, then the stars have it that we will reconnect. And we did. About a month later, it was LEMF here in Lethbridge. My mom had my kid. I was in better shape. I also had the thing that if I was going to be a single mom, I was going to be a damn good looking single mom. A little bit of a joke, but it was also like I was doing it for me. I wanted to be healthy and stuff, and so that was the joke. Was if I was going to be a single mom, I was going to be a damn good looking single mom. So I worked really, really hard on myself to be happy and accepting, but also accepting that my body is completely different. And yeah, it is, and I love it. Okay. And he came up to me and he again said hello. And I looked at him, hello, we connected, bing, bang, boom. It turned out to be his birthday, yada, yada, yada. We had our first kiss. It was super awkward and weird. And actually our butt grab on each other was better than our first kiss. How funny. Anyways, later on, we just met up. We just kind of started hanging out. We both told each other we didn't want to be in a relationship. Next thing you know, it's 2 years later. Now we're writing an erotica book together. So we are not boyfriend and girlfriend. It just so happened that we still like touching each other's butt for the last 2 years. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he says that we have seen each other in Fernie and whatever, but that's one amazing, fantastic blessing that happened out of having Zays. Was I met this amazing human that thinks like me, wants the same things as I do, and just kind of but wants to be on their own at the same time. And it's beautiful and amazing, and he is amazing. So that's one beautiful blessing. Another beautiful blessing is that I started my own business because I went back and I went back my mindset. I wanted to help people who, to love themselves every step of the journey exactly the way that I am, remembering that I had a horrible time in school. People always thought I was different and all that stuff. So I just wanted to do that. And being in the circus and all that stuff, I just kind of geared towards dance. I got my diploma in nutrition, certificates in health, and blah, 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 blah. I can teach people how to properly run a 5K. I don't want to, so don't ask me to. I will bike beside you and yell at you and blow a whistle. But I did a bunch of, in that year of maternity leave, I just poured myself into studies and figuring out how can I give myself and my son the best life possible while doing something that I loved. I didn't want to just go back to work and work something that I hated. Back in Fernie, I worked a job that I loved. I worked with the same 5 people. I was able to use my artistic self in that way, and that's and that's what I wanted. Shane, inside voice, please. And that's what I wanted to do. So I studied a lot, and I worked really, really, really hard at that. And hi, Shannon, I miss you. And through that, I went through all of these small little awakenings here and there. And it was amazing. I just have to say this, guys. Shannon was one of the first people I told that I was pregnant, and she actually drove me to my ultrasounds, and she was the first person, other than my mom, to hear my kid's heartbeat. So, yeah, tearing up a little bit. I miss her. Hi, Shannon. I really do miss you. So thank you for your love and support through all of that, and still your love and support from Fernie. You're amazing, and so thank you. So I went through my little awakenings, and I found out that I wanted to just help people love themselves, and the feeling that I had, I wanted people to have. So that is how I got here. With Soul Health Studio 101, and it's been an interesting road. Starting your own business is not for the faint of heart. Okay, there's a lot of yay, oh, yay, woo, yay, oh, and then a whole lot of brrrr. So yeah. So I'm still rocking it, I'm still doing it. And through that, I met Jocelyn from Fernie, who she says that she has CV, but because I was not in that headspace, I probably, and she is a mother of 2, and she has been rocking her own business through her Datura Oils line, and we've connected through Instagram, and I haven't officially face-to-face met her, but I just love her, and she is like my inspiration, my real life mom inspiration, and she's coming to Lethbridge, and I'm so excited to hug her. So I met her. I also became a writer. I'm a cannabis writer. So I do stand for moms who smoke pot or moms who want to try smoking pot. And I do it for 90% reasoning of all the health and amazing benefits that it comes with, and 10% of the enjoyment. Yeah, I like being high. It's fun. It's a good feeling. But it's also so many other things. And so I was a closet smoker. I felt really guilty of doing it. And then over the time, I just realized, why do I feel guilty about something that makes me feel better and good? And now that it's becoming legal, I am going deeper into it, and I'm going to be hosting some online workshops and some online webinars and blah, 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 blah. So that's another beautiful blessing that came out of it. And then be writing my own book, this erotica art book, and it's becoming something that is my baby, and I'm super excited for it. So yeah, I wanted to just kind of step back and kind of tell you how I got to where I am today. And it wasn't just like I woke up one day and went, aha! I went through a lot of hurdles. I went through a lot of yucky things. I had drug issues, not afraid to say it. I never had a drinking issue because I never liked drinking that much, but I liked doing drugs. That was my thing. I would buy a bottle of wine, and then I would go do a bunch of drugs. It was, I've had my heart broken. It was my rule in Fernie to not ever fall in love, and I fell in love, and I still remember the sound of the door closing behind him as he walked out of my house, and it still hurts to think about it, and it's something that I try not to think about, and I don't like even talking about it. And even when I try to talk about it, I'm like, nah, never mind. Probably. And after that whole heartbreak happened, I jumped right back into drugs, harder drugs, actually, because I didn't want to feel those feelings. So yeah, it wasn't like I've been this wonderful, perfect human this whole entire time. And it was like, spiritual, lovely, and come do yoga because it's good for you. No, I literally became this person because I was like, I've had this, I've had this, I've had this. And if I've experienced it, somebody else experienced it, and I want to help them be safe to express that feeling. So that's that. So the next kind of question that I've had is people have been like, how in the world do you do everything and keep it all kind of relatively together? I don't. Just let you guys know, my life isn't together. It's not, okay? I have this book. I have this book. I have this book. I have these books, and I have 3 more notebooks sitting on my top bookshelf. If I leave my house without a workbook, I'm lost. Okay, I write everything down, everything that's in my head. My schedule gets transferred onto 3 different things, including my phone and my computer. So that's what I have to do to keep myself relatively together. So don't think I have it all together, guys. My life may look like rainbows, but seriously, I carry around 2 notebooks and my phone, and half the time I carry on my laptop. And if I don't, I can't book anything. I actually, so yeah, I never leave the house without this book. I can't. So that's how I keep my life together. I am constantly figuring out what more or restarting ideas of my business. Right now, I am working through again what I want to do with my business and where I want to be 2 months, 3 months, a year, 10 years. And I constantly do that. Another thing that I do that helps me is this is my journal that my mom bought me. I check myself almost every 2 weeks, even sometimes more if I need it, emotionally, physically, mentally, creatively, and intellectually. And I write it all down. That's how I relatively keep things together and keep going. So it's when I talk to you about goals and ambitions and all that stuff, it's not coming out of my ass. It really isn't, guys. It's from years and years of doing exactly what I'm telling you. I'm real. There's some crazy shit in that book that and it's because it's real. Sometimes I have a really shitty moment, and other times I have really beautiful moments. But that's kind of how I keep it all together. I write everything down. Another way is how I keep things together is I practice my health, my eating, and my physical. If I don't get to the gym, I'm doing yoga. If I can't not doing yoga, I'm doing bhutia yoga. If I'm not doing that, I'm doing something. I don't drive, so I walk and I bike. So that gets me outside to breathe in whatever fresh air is in Lethbridge. Gets me grounded, and I don't bring music with me. I just have my thoughts. And I just walk my kids to school. I walk them home to school. I walk to work. I walk to the grocery store. So a lot of that has to do with my health and how I kind of keep a little bit more sane and being a single mom and running everything. I'm really also trying to talk a little bit more about my feelings and whatnot to, especially my parents. My being grown up in a Christian home, it's the whole smoking weed and writing erotica writing is not exactly in your parents' description of your daughter in that case, but I have been trying to vocalize that a little bit more so I feel less guilty and less crappy, because you shouldn't feel crappy to do what you love, and that's something I'm going to talk about about why moms need a break from public eye is that we moms shouldn't feel bad about doing what we love and what we need to do for ourselves to get us where we need to be. Yeah, so that's that. And like I said, I practice my physical health and my nutrition a lot. I try to do the best that I can. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got to here. And I'm hoping that 3 years from now, I will be in another country and talking to 20-year-olds, young 20-year-old single moms who are trying to just get to this place right now. So yeah. So I hope you keep up with me. I'm working on hosting some online courses for everybody to take, free Zoom webinar kind of type things, so that you can get a little deeper into me, guys. I am an every page thing and stuff. I've been a metalhead. I've been emo. I've been suicidal. I've been, So I'm not going to say I know everything, but I can help just that one person who's had that one same thought as me. And that's all I hoped and dream. So I'm coming up to about over a half an hour here. This has been an amazing time, and I'm really glad that I decided to take the step back and just kind of chat with you about how I got from here to here. So for today's lesson, I try to always turn it into a lesson. Don't ever judge your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 12, because that person who's on chapter 12 of their life started at chapter 1. So just do what you need to do. Take those steps, take the time. Sometimes you do have to take 10 steps backwards to go 3 steps forward. And that's totally fine. If you have any questions about this, will be reposted on a few other things, so you can always keep up with it. Send me a message. I'm more than happy to help you guys in any single way. Like I said, if one person thought anything like me, or how I felt or anything like that, I know I can give them some insight. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I hope you get outside and breathe whatever fresh air is in Lethbridge. And I'll see you guys all next week. And I'm hoping to be up actually on the radio station. So thank you all for hanging out with me. Bye. Peace.